Hello everyone. Hope you guys are doing good. Hello everyone. Come on in the room and get settled. We will start in just a moment. This is our second Astro Hour. Um, I'm looking forward to it. I hope that you guys enjoy this as much as you enjoyed the first one. Come on in the room, get settled, say hello so that we can get started shortly. For those of you who may be joining us for the first time, hello. I am Soleil. I'm Mambo Soleil. I am Coven Mother of Vision of Dontor. I am the founder and facilitator of the Charm School Mentorship Program, and I am your weekly reader. I'm still getting set up, so just give me a moment to light my candle. I'm going to go ahead and burn my Palo while you trickle into the room. Go ahead and say hello. Say hi in the comments so that I know who's here. If you talk to me, I talk back. I like this to be interactive. I like being able to engage with my audience as much as possible while I'm doing these. Hi, Aisha. Thank you for joining. Say hello. Hit those scale emojis. If you are new here, the scales are really important to me. They give me a lot of energy. They align with my name and with my spiritual purpose in a really particular divine way. So they're just a way of affirming and letting me know that you are in alignment with me and what it is I'm doing here tonight. Hey, Adelaida, good to see you. Come on in the room, get comfortable, get comfortable. So we typically do happy hour on Thursday nights, but I'm introing Astro Hour as a new segment, and I'm still figuring out what day of the week I want it to be on. And I was a little ill earlier this week, so I wasn't able to do my free charm school lecture. That's going to be tomorrow night. So hopefully you guys can come back and get some, take advantage of the free class that I'm offering tomorrow night about the spirit of provocation. But tonight I want us to talk a little bit about astrology. And we have some really big transits that are coming into energy over the next week and a half. So I wanted to take some time for us to talk a little bit about that. One of which we already have some movement with and around, and that is Jupiter and Cancer. So I actually may start with that tonight. Again, as you come into the room, make sure you say hello. Hit that like button. If you have, not if you have, hit the like button. Just hit the like button. It's helpful to me. It helps me with the algorithm. And I'm still growing my channel. So every like is helpful. Every subscribe is helpful. All of it is helpful. So as you can tell from the title, we're going to be talking both about Pluto in Aquarius and Jupiter in Cancer tonight, okay? And I think since I'm an earth sign and I'm going to be impacted by Jupiter in Cancer, I think I'm going to start with that first, okay? Some of you guys know that I tend to do readings during these segments as well. I will definitely do that tonight, but I like to get through the description first, and then we can jump into that, okay? So let's start with Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter in Cancer is a really interesting energy. So Jupiter is one of those planets that tends to stay around for a long time in its transits. Unlike the earlier planets like the sun and the moon, even Mercury, that have much shorter transits, once we get into the planets of Jupiter, Pluto, Uranus, those transits tend to last a really long time. Hello, Nicole. Thank you. It's good to see you here. So Jupiter in Cancer is going to be a little bit shorter, not a little bit, a lot shorter than the Pluto influence. And that's why I want to start with Jupiter in Cancer, okay? We have felt the influence of Jupiter in Cancer starting earlier this year. It started in May, but it's been retrograde for quite some time. And on October 17th going into the 18th, we're going to have it much more direct. Now, yesterday on the 8th, we had a Jupiter-Venus sextile, which creates an atmosphere of luck, harmony, and emotional balance. Now, the reason why this created those things in terms of emotional balance, Venus is the planet of love, luxury, and abundance, and Jupiter is the planet of expansion. It's known as the planet of luck, right? For those of you who do conjure or who do any kind of spiritual work, magical practices, you probably use today, Thursday, which is Jupiter Day, or the influence of Jupiter to call in new opportunities into your life. So with Jupiter entering Cancer on October 18th, we are dealing with the theme of expansion through emotional intelligence. This is a time of personal healing as well as a time of homecoming. So you're probably thinking, okay, what does that mean? What does that mean for us? It means a lot of things. And I'm going to talk about what those things mean tonight. The very first thing that we can depend on with Jupiter being in Cancer, and it's going to be there until June 30th of 2026, right? So we're going to have 8 months of this really delicious energy that impacts everybody, especially those of us who have Jupiter or Cancer placements, but it's going to be felt really heavily in the lives of water signs as well as earth signs, okay? So the very first thing we notice while Jupiter is in Cancer is that there's very much a shift from the mind to the heart. We're going to be moving through a lot of decision making based on how we feel in the heart. Again, Jupiter is the planet of growth. It's the planet of wisdom as well as blessings. And it's leaving the realm of Gemini, where it was previously, and entering the very watery emotional depths of Cancer. Now, Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. For those of you who may not be as familiar with astrology, that just means it likes to be there, right? Think about what it means to be exalted. You are elevated. You are put in a position where your strongest attributes are brought to the forefront. So Jupiter being exalted in Cancer means that it's going to be operating at its highest vibration. So what this means is that we have an energy shift from mental stimulation and a craving of information it gives way to a search for emotional truth and spiritual nourishment, right? You may find yourself using the internet a lot less. You may find yourself retreating from a lot of the news and information overload that's really popular right now, right? People are going to start craving depth and intimacy. Don't be surprised if you find yourself looking for safe spaces, right? There's going to be a pivot away from an obsession around networking and an emphasis on finding spaces and environments that bring you nurturing, right? So that's the very first thing that we see with Jupiter in Cancer. The next thing we see is a focus on the home as well as ancestry. And it makes sense just with, Jupiter is going into Cancer in October, in the fall, which is a time of ancestry and connecting with the other side, the other world in general, right? Cancer rules the home. Cancer is the mother of the zodiac. Cancer represents the family as well as ancestral lineage. So with Jupiter being here, it's going to expand our awareness of where we come from and how our emotional needs are impacted by our spiritual foundation, right? There's going to be a collective focus that turns toward protecting what's sacred, which are family, culture, community, as well as emotional health, right? So I think we are coming out of this tough up, grin and bear it kind of energy that's very much rooted in that Gemini air sign energy. And we're moving into an energy that is about nurture, about culture, about family, all those things that are really tied to water and earth in and of themselves, right? So this is very much a season for ancestral reclamation, cultural pride, remembering what heals you, specifically as it relates to the home. Don't be surprised if you find yourself nesting. Don't be surprised if you find yourself going through old pictures of family or calling elders to retrieve information and reignite memories about your family, right? Even those of us who may not have the strongest relationships with our family, we're going to be craving that energy and finding ways to nurture it in really particular ways. So that's the second impact of Jupiter in Cancer. Third impact, emotional abundance and intuitive growth. You're probably hearing that and you're like, what is emotional abundance, right? It's exactly what it sounds like. When Jupiter is in Cancer, it teaches us that abundance flows where we feel safe to receive, right? A lot of us have issues with receiving because we don't want to be vulnerable. And the reasons why we don't want to be vulnerable is either because we were taught that vulnerability is weakness, or we've had some sort of past experience where we were met with shame when we tried to be vulnerable, right? Um, Hold on one second. I'm just realizing I didn't share this video in a particular space. Sorry about that. So this is a time where emotional intelligence becomes important. Not just important, it's like a form of currency under this influence. And when I say it's a form of currency, your emotional intelligence is going to take you places where brute force, manipulation, low-key arrogance will never get you. Emotional intelligence is going to open a lot of doors and create opportunity for us. So if you are somebody who naturally is strong in terms of emotional intelligence, this is your time to shine. If you are somebody who struggles with emotional intelligence, the energy is really going to make itself right for you to strengthen that muscle, to really learn about not only why emotional intelligence is a necessity, but how it gains you access in ways that tuning out of your emotions never will, right? It's going to open doors for you. The more you nurture yourself, the more blessings are going to flow into your life, right? So again, this all work, no play, hustle hard, no days off kind of mentality that a lot of us may have been navigating when Jupiter was in Gemini, it's not going to work for us. It's not going to help us. There's a softness that we're being called to. Intuition deepens when Jupiter is in Cancer. You don't be surprised if you have prophetic dreams, especially if you have a lot of strong water placements, Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces. Do not be surprised if you have a lot of prophetic dreams. You also may have a heightened sense of empathy, right? You may find yourself having feelings of empathy for people and for situations that you typically would not have them for. Psychic sensitivity will increase. So don't be surprised if you are having conversations with people or if you are witnessing certain social dynamics and you see, feel, literally can tune into the things that are not being said, the things that lie beneath the surface. And a lot of that has to do with Jupiter being in Cancer, okay? So I mentioned earlier that Cancer is the mother of the zodiac, right? Actually, let me take a break a second so that I can catch up with the comments. Tika says, phew, because these people at work will not emotionally drain me. I clocked out at 5 and said not today. So you do have to be careful to make sure that you don't over exhaust yourself, especially if you are a naturally nurturing or maternal person. It can be easy for you to find yourself getting drained because people are latching on to you under this placement. Sylvia, a lot of water placements, that's me. I feel like that's so Raven. Water placements are naturally psychically in tuned, period. And when there are things like Jupiter in Cancer or Mercury in Cancer or when the moon is in Cancer, those that sensitivity just gets heightened in a really particular way. So the other thing, the healing of the mother wound, I mentioned earlier that Cancer is the mother of the zodiac, right? It's the nurturer of the zodiac. It represents the family. Anything related to Cancer or the fourth house when we're looking at astrology is going to relate to our relationship with our mother figures, and our family life, particularly our family experiences when we were small children, right? Whereas opposed to Capricorn is the father. So it has a lot to do with like your teenage years, late adolescence, right? So when Jupiter is in Cancer, this is going to expand whatever it touches and illuminates our relationships with nourishment, with emotional care, with creativity, everything related to the concept and the process of mothering. Let me be very specific. I'm talking about mothering as a verb, mothering as an activity, as a way of being, right? So some of us may have maternal men or male identified people in our lives. Jupiter in Cancer is still going to really touch on and illuminate those relationships and dynamics, right? So if you were raised by a single father and your father had to do a lot of the mothering, right? Or if you just have naturally psychic or sensitive men in your life and in your environment, those relationships will really be highlighted, okay? This can also manifest as a collective healing of the divine mother archetype. And I'm looking forward to this. I'm in the process of recording a podcast episode, and I'm talking about the ways in which Gen Zs hate mothers. They hate mother figures. They hate aunties. Anything that represents older women, there's a lot of hostility and there, right? And so I'm actually looking forward to seeing how this manifests collectively, because I think there's something really wrong in our culture in terms of us having this deep suspicion of maternal women, older women, women who carry knowledge. It's not to our benefit. But with this placement and this collective focus on healing as it relates to the divine mother archetype, there's going to be a reclamation of softness, a reclamation of emotional honesty, and a reclamation of care as a strength rather than a weakness, right? We tend to think in our culture, and I can only speak towards American culture because I've lived in this ghetto ass, wretched ass country my whole life, right? There is an understanding that softness, gentleness, being reserved, the ability to pull back is somehow a sign of weakness. And it's not helping us. A lot of the anger and the hostility and just the need to turn everything into a fight at the collective level has to do with the rejection of the divine mother archetype. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens within the collective with this Jupiter and Cancer energy between essentially now and June of 2026. I hope that it really helps and heals us, because I really think that a huge part of the reason why so many of us are just exhausted, like just bone tired, dog tired, is because we are being forced to, anytime we're pushed into polarity, it's not healthy, right? But yeah, enough about that. But also a lot of us are just going to be called to reparent ourselves. We're going to be called to reparent ourselves and pay attention to the parts of ourselves that need that mothering, right? So especially those of us who may have grown up as adultified children, those of us who may be adultifying our children, right, are going to be called to pause and to really stop and think about how we may not be giving our kids what they need in terms of having a complete childhood, right? There's going to be a slowing down around that. We're going to feel a need to heal family karma and really honoring our maternal ancestors. So for those of you who engage in ancestral veneration, do not be surprised if you start to have dreams of, receive downloads from, come across information in the form of pictures, artifacts, family memorabilia that's related to maternal or feminine ancestors that you may not have had before. Okay. Hello, Empress Maya Newbie. Good to see you. Hey, Renee. Good to see you. I'm glad. Okay. I was scared that people weren't going to tune in tonight. So I'm really, really grateful that people are joining. Again, this is a new segment. So I never know who's going to show up. So I'm really, really happy that there are some familiar faces and one or two new people here. Share this link with folks that you think would want this information. Okay. It's been more white people showing up. That's going to happen. That's going to happen when you're in your ancestral veneration journey, especially once you are a few years into it. Even if you have not had an ancestry test, you are going to learn how mixed you are by the people that show up in your dreams. So yeah, and let me know if you guys want me to do an ancestral veneration review. I feel like it's been years, literal years, since I've done one of those. And that can be something that I plan towards the end of the month. And I can invite a few of my godchildren on to give tips and pointers. But I have not done an ancestral veneration review on this channel in quite some time. And I think it will probably be good for us as a collective to have that. I have two more things that I want to talk about with Jupiter in Cancer. And then we can transition over to talking about Pluto. Because if you think 8 months is a long time, my G, Pluto is going to be in Aquarius for 20 years. So we got to talk about her. We got to talk about Pluto. But let's talk about 2 more points about Jupiter in Cancer, and then we'll move into Pluto and Aquarius. Again, Gemini, a very self-involved sign, very self-driven sign. Some would say almost egotistical when out of alignment. Not all Geminis. I've seen some Geminis that are crazy selfish, and then I've seen some that really know how to be in community, right? But Gemini astrologically tends to be a sign for self. When Jupiter is in Cancer, there's a shift and a focus to abundance through community care, right? So this transit is really going to reward those who care, feed, and protect communities. Protect, feed, and nurture families. Not just your own personal family, the communal family. I want to make that clear. Because some of you guys are probably thinking, well, I take really good care of my family. That's a personal investment. Well, I'm talking about the collective family. What are you doing to take care of your community? What are you doing to nurture people who need it, right? Healers, counselors, herbalists, spiritual teachers, they're going to experience an influx of support, an increase in clients, and they'll also see blessings from that, right? So it's not going to be one of those things. And I don't want to talk about it in detail, but I did go through a period of time where even though I had a lot of clients, those clients were very selfish. They would treat me like I was a Walmart employee, right? So I know the difference between having clients that treat me like community and having clients that treat me like I'm a personal shopper, right? But anybody who does any kind of healing work, people who want to start dipping their toe further into the healing work that they already do, you will see reward and blessing. Because again, the clients you take on, the community you end up coming across during this time is going to see you like community and not just like, the person I paid to put out a fire, right? So I'm looking forward to that. There's also going to be a lot of collective movements that can bring a focus on mutual aid, emotional safety, and community nourishment. I think about the Centers in Wonderland party that's going to be happening in a few weeks here in Atlanta, right? Which is a Halloween party, yes, but it's a mutual aid Halloween party. And it's designed to not only celebrate ancestral veneration through honoring the imagery of sinners, but a lot of the proceeds are going to be used to gather supplies for the homeless, to highlight local businesses, to really create needs and support for families, especially families of single parents, right? So I'm excited to attend that party. Look it up if you're going to be in Atlanta around Halloween. Sinners in Wonderland. It's a mutual aid party. And from what I hear, the last couple times they've done, it's never been Sinners themed, but this collective of people do mutual aid parties. And it seems like they've always been lit, okay? But the main thing that happens when Jupiter is in Cancer is that we understand, or we come to learn, that prosperity comes from generosity. It comes from empathy. It comes from being aligned with emotional support and emotional boundaries, right? It's interesting because I was just talking about this last night with my charm school girls. We were talking about how I was doing a class about how prosperity work changes with the seasons. And it just makes sense that in the fall, and with Jupiter being in Cancer, that people's prosperity is going to come from them being generous themselves. I think about the energy of Six of Pentacles, right? Where in order to receive blessing as a merchant, as a business person, as somebody, in order to keep the flow of abundance in your life, you also have to be a generous person. You have to be charitable. And I think that's something that a lot of people are going to really come face to face with under this influence. My little brother is a Cancer, and he's in his Saturn return cycle, and his mom is MAGA. This is about to get interesting. Pray for him, do readings for him, anoint. I'm not joking. Pray for him. Just pray for that baby. Pray for him. He's gonna need the prayer and the support. Okay. And then the last thing with Jupiter in Cancer, and this is a little bit of insight into how it weaves into Pluto being in Scorpio, right? Or not in Scorpio, in Aquarius. While Pluto breaks down old systems of control, Jupiter in Cancer rebuilds our heart space, and it teaches us how to hold one another through transformation. So, and we'll talk about this with Jupiter, or with Pluto and Aquarius, in a minute. A lot of people are going through personal transformation. A lot of people are having their death card rebirth moments right now. And it's important for us to be gentle with them while they're going through it, so that when we experience ours, they can give us gentleness as well, right? All revolution has to be rooted in emotional intelligence and care, because it's not just about innovation, it's about restoration, right? How can you have transformation while also allowing people the space to have restoration and recovery? So Jupiter in Cancer, happening at the same time that we have Pluto in Aquarius, really gives us the insight to be able to provide that, right? So this is a season where blessings come as a result of your generosity and your empathy, your emotional intelligence. Spirit is really calling you to take care of your roots if you want your legacy to grow. And Jupiter in Cancer also reminds us that emotional wealth is where the real wealth comes from, right? So the more emotional wealth you have, the more that's going to translate into material abundance in your life under this influence. That is Jupiter in Cancer. Now, Jupiter in Cancer is going to last, again, we had the Jupiter-Venus sextile October 8th, and then October 18th is when Jupiter goes into Cancer, okay? Let's talk about this Pluto situation, child, because it's 20. This is going to be a lot. Pluto in Aquarius is going to remain there until 2023. Sorry, 2043. I can't even say it right. It's going to remain there until 2043. It's been in retrograde since May of this year. But on October 17th, it's going to go direct. Let me make sure. I think I messed up my notes. Let me double check that because that didn't feel right. Hold on a second. I told y'all this was a new segment, so y'all got to be gentle with me. October 13th. It goes direct October 13th. Yeah, it goes direct in Aquarius October 13th. So it's been in retrograde since May. Now, before we talk about what it means for it to go direct, let's talk about it, period. What happens when Pluto is in Aquarius? And why does it stay there for so goddamn long? Well, it's one of the lesser or the later planets, right? Again, the earlier planets, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, they move kind of quick. The later planets, once we get into Pluto, Uranus, Neptune, they move very, very slowly. So this is a very slow transit. 18 years is a long ass time, right? And it has been retrograde since May. And on October 13th, which I believe is October 13th that's Monday. So that's right around the corner. On October 13th, it's going to go direct. Is this when Pluto will stay direct in Aquarius? Moving and absolutely, you're absolutely correct, Aisha. Look at you. Yeah, that's why I'm doing this, because 18 years is a long time, so we need to talk about it. What are the core themes of Pluto being in Aquarius? Well, we're looking at collective power and rebellion. That's another thing about Pluto, right? Those earlier planets, the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, those are all personal planets, right? So if any of you guys have taken any of my astrology classes, or if you've gotten any natal chart work done with me, whether it's been a forecast reading or just a general natal chart reading, you know that there's a difference between personal and collective planets or generational planets, right? Generational placements. Pluto is a generational placement, meaning that for several years period of time, sometimes 10 years, sometimes 8, people within the same generation will have the same placement, right? So collective power and rebellion really gets highlighted when Pluto is in Aquarius. Pluto in Aquarius transforms systems of power that are tied to technology, community, and social reform. Think about everything that's going on right now with AI. Think about all the moral and ethical dilemmas, crises, everything we're having to contend with around this technological tool / advancement that is known as artificial intelligence. That's a very Pluto and Aquarius thing to have to grapple with. We're witnessing revolutions in how people organize, share information, and how they resist authority, right? Pay attention to how people protest, the shifts in how people share information, the ways in which people are protecting one another in times of protest. Again, Pluto and Aquarius, collective issues. This is a time of collective rebellion, but the collective rebellion is also extremely spiritual in its purpose, right? There's a rise in Christian nationalism right now. A lot of the superpowers of the world are ganging up on and abusing Gaza, right? Those are Pluto and Aquarius issues. So yeah, it is about to get crazy. It's about to get real crazy. And that's why we need to be aware and we need to prepare for it, okay? Second theme, technology as a tool of transformation. This is a transit that exposes both the light and the shadow, the left and the right hand of innovation. Again, I just mentioned AI. It can be a blessing and a curse. It can be used for beautiful things as well as a form of it's a weapon of mass destruction, right? AI, social media, and digital currency are going to become mirrors that show how humanity can use technology either to liberate itself or to control those who they deem weaker. So we are going to be really confronted. I say this all the time. Most things in this world are neutral. It's what you do with it. A hammer can be a tool to use to build a house and to build sanctuary, or it can literally beat someone to death. So who are you? What are you doing with the hammer? And that's what we're seeing with technology right now. Technology can either be used to build community and build sanctuary, or it can be used to obliterate entire populations. And that's scary, but that's a real thing. And again, not a short transit, 18 years. 18 years where we have to contend with these really big questions. There's also going to be a lot of breaking of hierarchy while Pluto is in Aquarius. Aquarius is about equality. It's the sign of the humanitarian. And with Aquarius being about equality as well as decentralization, Pluto is here to dismantle rigid hierarchies. People keep saying that this is the fall of the US empire. It makes sense with Pluto being in Aquarius. Any outdated power structures, especially those that are rooted in elitism, rooted in racism, rooted in classism, misogyny, misogynoir, queerphobia, disabled hatred, anything related to the exclusion of populations or the control and manipulation of knowledge is going to fall under Pluto and Aquarius. It's raining. I love it. I'm glad I left my window open. This is a time where we're going to be really confronted with the power of the people. There's going to be an emphasis that shifts from the powerful few to the empowered many. Communities, movements, and collective healing become sources of true power under this influence. Them witch hunters about to be on everybody's ass. The spiritualists are about to be on everybody's ass, real talk. So again, Pluto is going to go direct October 13th. And what this means for us on an individual level, because we talked a lot about Pluto in Aquarius being a very collective energy. And I want to take a little bit of time to talk about what this means for us as individuals, okay? When Pluto goes direct October 13th, this is going to be a time where we shift from internal shadow work to outer action, right? Again, fall and going into winter is shadow work season. But during Pluto's retrograde, the world was very much examining their internalized control, manipulation, and fears. Once Pluto goes direct, shadow work is going to start manifesting in visible shifts. So the shadow work that you've done already, or if you are one of those people that have been avoiding it, the shadow work you've been avoiding, is going to start to show and reflect in your outer world. People are going to act out on what they've already realized, okay? Another thing is that a lot of us are going to be rebuilding after revelation. So we can expect social, political, and community level changes to really accelerate during this time, okay? What was breaking down during the retrograde is going to start to rebuild itself, because that's the thing. Pluto destroys so that you can rebuild, okay? So anything that broke down during the retrograde is going to start to rebuild itself, but it's going to rebuild itself with a new awareness about power, about ethics, and about responsibility. Again, Aquarius, being the sign of the humanitarian, is very much concerned with ethics and morality, okay? There's also going to be a collective awakening around justice and equality. Pluto direct in Aquarius amplifies movements around truth and freedom, as well as community care. So we can expect a lot of strong reactions to issues of censorship, strong reactions to human rights violations, any kind of environmental innovations that hurt communities. We're going to see strong reactions, okay? The empaths and the healers are really going to feel this. Sensitive people may feel an energetic click as truths rise to the surface. So this is going to be a really important time to release control, to allow your old energetic contracts to dissolve, right? The healers are gonna start to make new attachments to new moral codes and ethics, especially as these old ones fall apart. Okay. This is an energetic age of accountability. This is an energetic age of accountability. Okay. And what that means is that this is a time that demands that we embody the change we've been praying for, right? A lot of us pray for things and we've been calling in collective change, thinking about how we want the outside world to be different. No, you got to be different in here in order to meet the standards of what you've been praying for and calling in. And Pluto and Aquarius really calls us to do that. Our ancestors are literally upgrading our revolutionary DNA. Some of us have had it way too easy in terms of how we fight and the moral, the ethical fights that we pick up. Some of us have been way too comfortable with being complacent and not wanting to take on a politic. Pluto and Aquarius ain't gonna let that happen. And even though it makes you uncomfortable because you haven't had to do it, it's actually an upgrade from your ancestors. Our ancestors have been they've had to be far tougher than we have had to be. And so now we're going to have to embrace the strength that they've embodied, right? Aquarius carries the codes of liberation as well as innovation, and Pluto activates those codes through discomfort and awakening, okay? We are healing a lot of collective and community wounds through Pluto and Aquarius. And that helps us in terms of learning that power is not meant to isolate. It's meant to circulate. So people who like to wield power, to withhold power, they are going to suffer greatly. And that's going to happen in the form of world leaders. It's going to happen in the form of spiritual leaders who abuse their power through ego. It's also going to happen in the form of people who, if you have been somebody who's been about the hoarding of resources and money because you want to flex and look better than other people, this is going to be a really painful time period for you. Okay? So these are the lessons of Pluto in Aquarius. So that's my little breakdown. Again, I know that this feels different than the last astral hour because we were talking about a full moon, right? We were talking about a Mercury placement. Those moved very, very quickly. These are placements that are going to have some pretty big lasting impacts for us. So the stakes are somewhat higher because we have to confront and navigate these energies for a lot longer, okay? I'm happy to take questions from the audience now. I have 2 readings, one related to each placement. So if you would like to get a reading about what Jupiter in Cancer has in store for you between basically now and June 30th of 2026, you can get my Waters of Blessings reading. If you are interested in looking into what Pluto and Aquarius has in store for you over these next 18 years, you can get my Rebirth of the Rebel reading. And you know the drill at this point. You just send 1111 to either my Cash App or my PayPal, and I'll go ahead and do a reading for you. I have a new Cash App. I finally, after 8,000 years, have decided to set up a business Cash App, and it's scrolling below. If you already have my personal Cash App and you want to use that one, that's fine. But it's just my name, Soleil Conjure, $ Soleil, SOLE, Conjure, CONJURE. Yeah, so if anybody wants a reading, go ahead and let me know. Just go ahead and send your love offering and then put in the comments which of the 2 readings you would like to do. Tika says, I like these segments. They let me know the work I have been doing is for a reason and that I am in alignment. Thank you. I'm really, really grateful to hear that. Aisha, this is good. Confronting shadows and integrating the lessons we went over in my shadow work reading makes sense. Absolutely. I love that. I love hearing that. While people are putting up their questions or sending in their offerings, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know about some of the things that I'm working on and what's to come. Yes, you can absolutely request both, Nicole. You can definitely request both. I'll start with you, Adelaida, and then I'll jump into whoever is after you. So let me updates. Damn, I'm so tired. what am I working on? Okay. So free class tomorrow, how to navigate the spirit of provocation. We will be here. It's completely free. As always, whenever I do a free lecture, if you want to give love offerings, you can, but I won't be asking for them. So meet me back here tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. I'll be giving you some concrete tips, both in terms of coaching as well as spiritual things you can do to protect yourself from the spirit of provocation, which is a real spirit and is running rampant right now. I thought I already did this class, but I had to go back and look through my lives. And it wasn't a class. I talked about it when I was talking about Nicki Minaj being a troll. But I'm going to actually give a class on how to deal with people like her or just the spirit of provocation more generally. If you are not on my Patreon, consider joining. I teach a lot of really good information on Patreon. And I know that a lot of you all want to expand your spiritual education, but you may not be in a position where you can commit to a full-on mentorship program. And for as low as $15 a month, you can get classes through my Patreon. On the 13th, I'm going to be doing a new tarot class. I done forgot what, let me look at it. Again, I teach so much that I be forgetting what the hell I teach about. Give me a second. I'm so sorry. What am I teaching about on the 13th? It's not Cards of Abundance. That's old. Tarot for Spiritual Hygiene. So we're going to be going over the cards that help you understand your spiritual hygiene journey, what that means for you, and how to interpret the wisdom in those particular tarot cards. That's going to be on the 13th. And then we also have a Conjure Lab on the 29th. If you're interested in learning more about my Patreon, there is a link to it below. But again, for as low as $15, you get access to the classes and replays. I have a tier where you get access to exclusive monthly readings based on your star, your sun, moon, or rising sign. And then my highest level, which I believe is $40, gets you a 15-minute reading from me every month, along with all the classes and the exclusive online readings, everything else. So check out my Patreon. It's a good deal, especially for those of you who are not able to enroll in mentorship at this time. I also have my study hall mentorship, which is a self-paced mentorship program. It's a little cheaper than Charm School, but that has a lot of awesome classes as well. Is the class on the 13th a Patreon class? Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Aisha. And I believe you already signed up on my Patreon, so you should get the link to that. And you should, if you look on the Patreon, it'll have, I believe I posted it on the first of the month. It'll have the schedule for the month of October on there. The two readings, the reading for Jupiter in Cancer is the Waters of Blessing reading. And then the reading for the Pluto in Aquarius is the, what's it called? The Revolution and Rebellion reading. Rebirth of the Rebel reading. So one reading is about Jupiter in Cancer. The other reading is, the best way to understand it is that one reading is about Jupiter in Cancer and then the other reading is about Pluto and Aquarius. So depending on which one you care more to, you feel like you have more of a desire to learn about what Spirit wants you to know, just think about that and choose one, okay? What else? Last update. On the 22nd, I'm teaching a Love and Sex Magic workshop. I have been asked for years to teach a Love and Sex Magic workshop, but honestly, I was receiving not the best or the most ethical training about love magic, so I've had to kind of enter into some teaching and training based on my own experience and working with some mentors that I picked up recently. and now I feel comfortable to teach it. So it's a love and sex. It's called Fire and Desire. It's a love and sex magic workshop. It is designed to teach you the difference between love magic, lust magic, and sex magic. Okay? A lot of times when people talk about doing love magic and then they end up getting stalked or they get unsavory results, it's because they were doing lust magic that attracted limerence. So I'm going to talk about the difference between the three. I'm going to give you wisdom on how to do both sex magic as well as love magic. And then I'm going to teach you how to make a potion that's really, really powerful for love magic. Okay. I feel like fall is the best time to do love magic as well as sex magic work, because the love magic that is done in the fall is going to be sustainable, right? Summer loves can be fleeting. Spring loves are very much rooted in crushes. Fall and winter sex magic and love magic, it just hits a little different. So if you're interested in joining me for Fire and Desire on the 22nd, click the link below so that you can pay for that class and enroll, okay? So let's go ahead and start with Adelaida. Adelaida was the one who submitted her offering first. So let me scroll up and start with her. Let me look at the Cash App because I think you wrote in there which one you wanted. Oh, you have a specific question. Okay, I got you, Adelaida. Adelaida has a specific question that she wants answered. So I'm going to do her specific question. And then I will start doing the astrological questions for other people. Okay? Ancestors, let's see. You want to know... if you should sublet while you're in Tulum in December. Ancestors, angels, ascended master spirits, walk with me, elevated ancestors. What wisdom does Adelaida need about subletting in December? Should she sublet while she is in Tulum? What are the benefits of subletting? What will be the negatives, if any? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Right. Spirit is saying that the juice isn't worth the squeeze. And what I mean by that is that it's going to bring you I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by the comments. Let me answer Adelaide's question first. It's going to bring you more stress than it is financial resolve, right? 10 of Wands, stress, overwork, burden, trying to carry too many things, trying to navigate too many things. You trying to navigate this sublet situation while you are in Tulum or traveling, it's just going to put an extra burden on your back, and it's going to make you feel far more stretched thin than anything. The instinct is to do this so that you have financial relief, but the financial relief that you're seeking can come another way. The Knight of Pentacles is here to say, look over your options a little bit more closely. You go over them with a fine-tooth comb. There's a way for you to save money, which is what you're trying to do, that doesn't call for you to take this route. And again, if you pay attention to your options as well as tap into spirit, they're going to be able to give you wisdom about what you need to do, right? But I see this end up being more of a burden than it is a help. And there's some sort of other option that you should be looking at that isn't the subletting of the apartment. Subletting the apartment is actually going to make more burden, and it's not going to really help with the finances the way that you think it is. So that's the answer. I don't think it's the way you should go, at least based on what came up in the cards. Okay. Um, Aisha said this may be TMI, but would this class help increase libido? Absolutely. Absolutely. This is a class that's for people who are in relationships. It's for people who are trying to get into relationships. It's also if you don't want a relationship, but you just want to have a healthy sex life, right? And you want a healthy sex life without attachment. I'm going to go over all of that and the ethics of how to negotiate all those things in this class. But absolutely, if you are in a couple, if you're married, this will help you increase. The potion I'm teaching you is some powerful shit. And it will increase libido for both men and women. And it will increase libido whether you are in a couple or whether you're just a single person. Absolutely. It will absolutely do that. Let's see. Nicole wants to get both readings. So we will do, hold on a second. We'll do Nicole, then we'll do Tamika. I'm happy to do you, Aisha, but I don't see your love offering. Did you send it through Cash App or did you send it through PayPal? But let's go to Nicole next. Nicole wants to get both of the readings. So I will start with the, I'm going to start, I don't see it, Aisha. I don't see your love offering. We'll start with the Jupiter reading. Double check your Cash App because I don't see it. So Nicole will start with the healing waters, the waters of blessing. First card is going to look at the vessel, which is how should you hold emotional abundance. Second one is the tide, which is what is ready to expand or overflow in your life. And then we're going to look at the shore, which is how to anchor the blessings that you're going to receive while Jupiter is in Cancer, okay? Ancestors, angels, and master spirits that walk with me, elevated ancestors. What wisdom does Nicole need about Jupiter in Cancer at this time? Give her wisdom about how emotional abundance will flow into her life, how she can hold on to that emotional abundance, and what it will open up and expand for her. Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. So we will do, once I'm done with Nicole's 2 readings, I'll do Tamika. And then Aisha after that, once we get her situation settled. If there's anyone else that would like a reading at this time, just send in your love offering and put a comment below. And then I will take care of you, okay? So for you, in terms of how you're going to hold your emotional abundance, and this is talking specifically about what your spirit wants you or needs for you to feel safe to grow. It's literal. A lot of financial opportunity is going to come to you while Jupiter is in Cancer. I don't remember. I know I did an astrological reading for you at one point, a natal chart reading, Nicole, but I don't remember your sun sign. If you're a water sign, this makes sense because the water signs are going to do really, really well with money while Jupiter is in Cancer. The other thing is that the King of Pentacles is not just about doing well financially. They take really good care of themselves and their people, right? It's also a card of early retirement. So a huge amount of what's going to open up for you in terms of emotional abundance, Scorpio, makes a ton of sense. What's going to open up for you under this influence in terms of emotional abundance or how you hold emotional abundance is that you're really going to be thinking about your future. And you're specifically going to be thinking about the kind of retirement you want to have and how you want to feel comfortable in that retirement. So let your mind wander, let yourself dream. Really use this time to think about, okay, when it's time for me to sit down and not work anymore, how do I want to feel? What do I want to do? How do I want to use my time? Let yourself have those dreams, because the more that you allow yourself to be in that dreamy energy, the easier it's going to be for you to root that in reality. Remember, King of Pentacles is a card of Capricorn. It's also a card of Taurus, right? And these are energies that are about grounding, right? Material wealth, the comforts of material wealth, right? Now, in the position of the tide, what is ready to expand or overflow? This card is looking at the blessings that are going to be rising from your emotional and ancestral depths. There are certain things that you keep holding on to, and your ancestors are like, no, we got to let that shit go, right? So it's going to feel uncomfortable for you, but there are certain things that your spirits are literally going to rip away from you because they know that the space needs to be cleared, right? Think of, it's interesting that this is the tide reading that's talking about the tides, because what does a tide do? It comes through and it washes away stuff, right? So the tides are coming through to wash away and force you to break away from some things that you keep trying to carry with you into this next chapter of your life. The spirits are going to make it abundantly clear that you got to let some shit go. And the thing about the tower is that it's only a chaotic energy if we fight it, right? And Scorpios like to fight. So if you can be in the flow and let these things go away, it won't be a difficult tower energy for you. But anything that you're forced to let go of is setting you up for your future, right? Especially after this placement is this transit is over. In terms of the shore, or what you need to anchor you into your blessings, what's going to help you turn your emotional wisdom into long-term abundance. Again, learning that having to walk away is going to set you up to be able to have new and better experiences. Okay? This is what's going to really allow you to have different and better. Six of Swords is about moving into a future that is uncertain, but because you trust your spirits and you trust your ability to navigate the waters, it's going to bring you better than what your past holds for you, right? So what I'm seeing between the King of Pentacles, the Tower, and the Six of Swords is that this Jupiter in Cancer transit is really positioning you to think about who you want to be in retirement, right? When you retire from the work you do and you have freedom and free time on your hands, who is the person that you get to be? This transit is going to force you to let go of some things that you feel a deep attachment to, but honestly aren't going to allow you to have peace in retirement. Like, your spirits are serious about, like, when it's time for Nicole to sit down, we want her to be happy. We want her to be abundant. We want her to have new experiences that lead her to not only intellectual but emotional growth. And even if she's not ready to let this shit go, we're going to rip it out of her hands. That's what I see with this particular reading. Now let's get into what Pluto and Aquarius has in store for you, because the tone of this particular reading is a lot different. So this is the rebirth of the Rebel reading. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits that walk with me. What wisdom does Pluto and Aquarius have in store for Nicole? How will she be transformed? How is her transformation reflected in her collective experiences? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Okay, I will check that once I'm done with Nicole's second reading. Aisha, I probably should have just kept up my normal Cash App instead of trying to introduce the business Cash App to you guys, because this is my first time using it. It may have caused some confusion, but we'll get that worked out. And the other thing is, even if we don't get it worked out here on air, I trust you, so I'll just do your reading anyway. Let's see. So in the first card, which looks at the ruins or what needs to be released, And this is an energy that's asking us about the structures or beliefs that need to crumble so that we can evolve. We have the Page of Wands. I think it's interesting that this is talking about what needs to be released, right? The Page of Wands is coming up because I think there's a part of you that feels, even though you are a very wise woman and has a lot of life experience, you still see yourself as a student and you're not. Right? You need to release the understanding that you're still building, that you're still striving, that there's a more that you need to go after. You are enough. You are enough. You have a lot of wisdom. You've built something beautiful for yourself. So you need to release this understanding that you're still a student and that you still have something to figure out, because it's not in alignment with who you actually are or even how other people experience you. In the position of the spark, the truth that's going to set you free, and the gift that you really need to empower or not to embody in order to feel empowered under this influence. And it makes total sense. Queen of Swords, Queen of Strategy, emotional safety bought by strategy. You are very, very fucking wise. And I know this because of the conversations I've had with you. You are a very smart woman. And so you need to find emotional safety in being the bad bitch with the answers, right? I think you probably had to perform this energy in order to feel safe, or other people have made you feel bad for being a smart, badass woman. But in order for you to navigate and have the kind of rebirth that you not only need, but that you are deserving of during this Pluto in Aquarius transit, you have to embrace the emotional comfort and safety in being a wise woman, in being somebody that has the answers, in being somebody who has wise counsel, right? In the position of the blueprint, how to build the new world for yourself, in terms of how you can ground yourself in this transformation as this collective change is happening, you really got to work on trusting your intuition. You are naturally, and it makes sense, you're a fucking Scorpio. You are naturally very psychic. You probably have dreams and then those things happen in real life later. There's a part of you that's very much a visionary in terms of your spiritual connection, but you don't really know how to trust it yet, right? And it's interesting that we have two page cards here. It's like you are still learning how to trust your psychic downloads, and the Page of Cups is coming up to just say, do it, right? Because not only is this going to help you individually, in these next 18 years, there are people in your community and people who love you, who trust you, who deeply trust your psychic and intuitive downloads. So you really got to learn to lean into that, okay? So that is your Pluto in Aquarius reading. Brital, which of the readings did you want? I don't know if you put it in the Cash App or not, so let me go back and see. You want the Pluto reading. Okay, so I got you. I got you, Brital. You want the Pluto reading? Okay, let me switch over to the other account really quickly, Aisha, because I don't even see anything from you at all on either of them. I see it. Okay, I see it. Okay. So we got Bertal, and then I'm going to do both for Aisha. If there's anyone else that would like a reading, go ahead and put, yes, I can refund the smaller one to you in just a moment. Okay, let me know if you got it back. Sorry, I done confused myself and y'all with trying to introduce a new Cash App. I apologize for that. Let's do Tamika's Pluto reading, and then I'll do both for Aisha. Okay. Ancestors, angels, and master spirits that walk with me, my elevated ancestors. What wisdom does Tamika need about the Pluto and Aquarius retrograde? What will allow her to navigate the energy over that Three of Pentacles really wanted to fall out? What will allow her to navigate the energy over the next 18 years with Pluto and Aquarius? What does she need to be aware of and prepare herself for once Pluto goes direct on Monday the 13th? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Okay. Now, in the position of the ruins and what must be released, and again, this is about a structure or belief that needs to crumble. You're not gonna like this. I swear you're gonna think that I be just making shit up, but you see that I shuffle the cards on camera. You need to learn to get comfortable with taking up space. So you have to release the belief that it's wrong for you to take up space. That it's wrong for you to express your feelings. You really got to release that, right? Leo energy, sun card energy is the energy of I'm baby. Leos love to take up space because they are the sign of the theater, right? So in order for you to, Pluto and Aquarius really, really wants you to learn how to be comfortable with taking up more space. You have to release the comfort with being in the shadows and stepping back and letting other people stand in front of you. In fact, it's low-key something that gets you into trouble. I'm not even going to mention, it's a certain person that we're thinking about I'm thinking about that used to love standing in front of you and taking credit for your energy, right? And when you think about situations where you have allowed that to happen, it's caused a lot of fucked up shit for you. Not only personally, but in community, right? Aquarius being the sign of the humanitarian. You have an obligation to be comfortable and stand in confidence. And Pluto and Aquarius really wants you to release your comfort with standing in the background because it's not helping you. Now, the spark and the truth that's going to set you free, the gift that's meant to empower you, you're already living it. You are a powerful priestess. And you are accumulating so much information just naturally with where your spirits are bringing you, right? So continuing to get comfortable with the wisdom that you have been entrusted with by your spirits and being a protector and a gatekeeper for that information, keeping that wisdom behind the veil and getting comfortable with letting people come to you for that wisdom. That's something that, again, with it being a communal energy, it's not just about you. Think about all the people in the world that benefit from getting this information, that will benefit from getting this information from you, right? In the position of the blueprint, how to build this new world, or how you can ground yourself in transformation that's not only real, but that brings collective change. You saw me shuffle the cards, so this isn't just me saying something just because we always talking about it. Chariot. Just go after it. Be in movement. Don't overthink. Even if you hit a bump or two on the road, pick yourself up and go after it. Right? You don't, this is not a time for you to lick wounds and hide behind things. You have to be driven, and you have to be comfortable with being driven. Okay? Your spirits need it from you. That's what they want for you. Okay? So what I'm seeing is you have to, Pluto and Aquarius will reward you not only personally, but at the collective level when you get comfortable with taking up more space, when you fully embrace that your journey as a priestess is not just about what you learn for self, but that you are a gatekeeper of spiritual wisdom and information that you give to people safely, and that you learn to be comfortable moving forward in that energy, as opposed to feeling so overwhelmed by it that you let it stagnate you. I love the fact that your ancestors are like, we're going to give her this lesson every fucking week till she listen. They are just like, we going to say this to her every week until she listen. We going to say it through her mambo. We going to say it through her friend. We going to say it through her mama. We going to say it through everybody until her black behind listen. I love that for you. All right, Aisha, I'm going to start, since I already have it up on my notes, I'm going to start with the Pluto and Aquarius reading, which is the rebirth of the rebel reading. And then once I'm done with that, we'll go ahead and do your Jupiter in Cancer. If there is anyone else that would like a reading while I'm doing Aisha's, just go ahead and send your love offering, and then let me know what reading you would like in the comments. If you would like a reading about Jupiter in Cancer and what that has in store for you, or if you want to know the wisdom of what Pluto in Aquarius has for you. Okay? What wisdom does Pluto in Aquarius have? I'm going to let it stay off to the side even though it fell out. What wisdom does Pluto in Aquarius have for Aisha? What is the type of revolution and rebellion that will happen in her life? How is that reflected in the collective energy, and how will it transform her? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. If you know anyone that would benefit from this message or this lesson, go ahead and share it with them. Feel free to share the link. If you did not already like this video when you came into the room, go ahead and take a moment to like it before you leave tonight. Every like is appreciated and it's helpful for the algorithm. Every subscription is also helpful. I'm trying to grow the channel. So again, I love that you're here. Really grateful, deeply grateful for your presence, but also make sure you share with other people, okay? So what must be released in terms of the ruins of this reading, or the structure or belief that is ready to crumble so you can evolve? Similar but slightly different message to what Tamika got. We have the King of Wands in reverse. I think you have such a fear of being interpreted as an arrogant person that you play small, right? When the King of Wands is in reverse, it can mean one of two things. It can either mean that you are somebody who, is arrogant for no reason, like you have no merit, or it can mean that you are somebody that has a ton of reason to be confident and to be prideful, but you run from the weight of that, right? Because the thing about the King of Wands when they're upright is that their confidence and beauty and wisdom personified, and they have no problem with self-promoting them because of it. So when it's in reverse, it's somebody who is fucking popping, but they're afraid of being seen as arrogant, so they don't promote themselves. What you need to leave behind is so that you can evolve, is this need to downplay who you are, to downplay your accomplishments. Because here's the thing, Whether you make yourself small or not, when people look at you, they see a King of Wands. They see a beautiful person. They see somebody who is worthy of taking up space. They see somebody who's capable. They see somebody that they're actually really drawn to. So what you need to release in order to evolve during this Pluto in Aquarius season is getting really, really comfortable with embracing confidence and taking up more space. Now, in terms of the spark, what you need to embrace in order to be set free, the gift that's going to empower you is the World card. You have a lot of wisdom, and that wisdom comes from personal experience, right? That wisdom coming from personal experience has put you in a position where you're going to benefit and reap a lot of rewards. You are, and this is another thing that complicates that King of Wands in reverse. You're entering a season where from the outside looking in, it's going to look like you're getting things easy. It's going to look like that to people who don't know you or who don't see how far you've come in terms of gaining the knowledge and having the experiences that you had, right? What you need to embrace is that you've earned your blessings. You don't have to defend them to other people. It doesn't matter how pissed off other people get about you. Don't nobody give a fuck about that. If you can't embrace your blessings and if you can't embrace this new chapter of ease that's about to come into your life, it's going to read spiritually as ingratitude. So you need to not have a concern with how other people are either pissed off or envious or covetous of your blessings, right? In the position of the blueprint, how you build a new world or how you can ground this transformation in real collective change. 7 of Wands. That sorry, not sorry energy. That being comfortable. There's some people in your life that you're going to have to leave behind. And it's not because you don't love them. It's not because you feel like you're better than them. It's because they're going to be so wrapped up in trying to cut you down to size that it will really fuck with your peace. And it can cost you your elevation. So the 7 of Wands is literally about being so dedicated to your elevation that you don't get distracted by fighting with the people that are at your feet or fighting with the people that can't come or can't rise with you, right? There's literally, and going back to this world card, there are literally worlds that you are about to enter, rooms you're about to enter, seats, tables you're about to sit at, where people can't come with you. And rather than trying to defend yourself to them and explain to them why they can't come, you have to be so in the energy of elevation and gratitude that you don't get distracted. Now I see why that Page of Swords fell out. Page of Swords is the honor student. And even though they're the sharpest in the bunch, they still are a student. They can still feel insecure. They can over talk and over defend themselves, right? Page of Swords doesn't know the power of their tongue. And so the reason why this fell out, and something that's really going to be important for you over these next 18 years with Pluto in Aquarius, you got to get comfortable with not over explaining yourself to other people. Because here's the thing, you're the honor student, you're really smart, you already understand why you do what you do. Other people aren't going to understand it. And the more that you over explain your choices, your actions, your morals, your ethics, your heart to other people, the more you just give them information to cut you with. The more you just give them more rope to hang you with. Especially if they're people, again, 7 of Wands, who are dedicated to misunderstanding you. Okay? Now let's get into your Jupiter in Cancer reading. If there's anyone else that would like a reading, go ahead and send your love offering so that I can get to you after I wrap up with Aisha's second reading. So this is the Waters of Blessings reading. We're going to look at what Jupiter in Cancer has in store for you. Okay, good. I'm glad that resonated. I'm glad that that resonated. Ancestors, angels, ascended master spirits that walk with me, and elevated ancestors. What wisdom does Aisha need at this time about the Jupiter in Cancer transit? What will these next 8 months have in store for her as it relates to her personal, emotional intelligence and healing? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Another card fell out. This keeps happening with you. Okay. Alrighty. So in terms of Jupiter's shift from, okay, hold on, sorry, I'm in the wrong place. Lord, confused myself. Okay. So in terms of the vessel, in terms of what you need to hold in order to have emotional abundance, the thing that your spirit needs for you to feel safe as you grow right now, we have the King of Pentacles, similar to very similar to what Nicole's going through. You really need to be thinking about not your comfort right now, but your comfort in retirement, in the future that you're building for yourself, right? Because King of Pentacles is the card of the future. The reason why they're able to live so lushly and abundantly is because they thought about their future, and they were comfortable with making sacrifices in the interim in order to have abundance in the future, right? So the King of Pentacles is coming forward to tell you that it's almost like you think a little too small. Sometimes a lot of the concerns you have about needs being met are about things in the moment, and they really want you to think about your future. Who do you want to be once you retire? When you're not working anymore and you don't have to answer to anybody, what do you want your days to feel like? What kind of peace do you want? How often do you want to spend time at the river? Like those are the things that they really want you to think about, not just because it helps you prepare, but it's also going to give you a sense of emotional safety and comfort, right? And this is partially download. They want you to understand that visualization and dreaming is a form of manifesting. That's spiritual work in and of itself, okay? In terms of the tide, what is ready to expand or overflow, this is looking at the blessings that are going to rise from your emotional and ancestral depths. This is really a time for you to really nurture your relationship with the divine feminine, right? Not just nurturing your relationship with the divine feminine in terms of your personal energy, but there's something that is ready to give birth within you, right? And that could be a creative idea. There's something that you're going to create. There's a really big idea that you have right now. And the more that you spend time in nature, the more you nurture your feminine, the more you allow yourself to see being in that dreamy energy as a form of work in and of itself, the easier it's going to be for you to see the path towards how this thing gets built and how this thing gets created, right? So really, it's interesting because I did say with the King of Pentacles spending time at the river, the Empress is calling you to do that as well. And I think that the more you nurture your divine feminine, the more your creative side is going to open up, and that's going to have something that brings you a lot of healing, right? You have creatives in your ancestry too. I feel like we talked about this in your ancestral life path reading. I don't remember, but this feels like I've said this to you before. There's something that needs to be birthed in you in terms of ideas. And the more you harness your feminine, the easier it's going to be for you to be in your creative energy. In the position of the shore, or how it is you anchor your blessings, what you can do to turn emotional wisdom into long-term abundance, we have the Hangman. So this is a time of purposeful reflection for you. There's a lot about this Jupiter in Cancer transit that's going to give you perspective that shifts your paradigm, okay? You're going to be able to see aspects of your life, aspects of your most intimate relationships, your connections to your family in a way that transforms things for you. I see you being able to exercise a lot of forgiveness while also holding your boundaries, right? Because that's the thing about hangman energy. You have the paradigm shift. You're able to see things from a new perspective, but the wisdom you gain helps you protect yourself from further victimizing yourself, right? So at the same time that there are certain things that you may be holding resentments, both known and unknown, around, you have a shift in perspective that allows you to heal from those resentments. But the forgiveness comes in a way that doesn't mean that you return to situations or you let people that don't have their shit in order have unfettered access to you, right? It's actually the opposite. You forgive the deficits that allowed certain things to happen, but then that also brings wisdom that allows you to not put yourself in harm anymore, right? And then the card that fell out while I was shuffling was the Eight of Cups, right? There are a lot of things you're going to be walking away from in order to embrace something new. So you're literally going to be leaving certain things behind, not because you didn't try, not because there's a loss of love there, but because you're so focused on what's next and making sure that what comes next is something that's actually going to fill your cups instead of spill your cups. That you're not going to dilly-dally. You're just going to be focused on the road ahead. And I love that for you. Alrighty, I think that's everybody. I don't see any new requests, so I'm gonna wrap up with Aisha. Hello, La Balin. Good to see you. I'm about to wrap up La Balin, but I strongly encourage you to, once this is over, go back and watch the first hour of the video because I talk about two transits that are going to be with us for quite a while. Jupiter in Cancer. Once it takes off, once it goes direct on the 18th, it's going to be there until June 30th of 2026. And then also, Sanidra also wants to read. Okay, so I'm not wrapping up La Balin. But again, I definitely want you to go back and watch the first hour because Jupiter in Cancer lasts until June 30th of 2026. And Pluto is going to be in Aquarius until 2043. So we got 18 years of Pluto in Aquarius is fuck shit. So I really want you to go back and watch the full thing so that way you can have awareness of how to navigate those energies. But Sanidra, you want me to choose? That's pressure, Sanidra. Let's do Jupiter in Cancer for you since you're such a lover girl. Let's do Jupiter in Cancer for you. That feels right. So we're going to do Waters of Blessing for you. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits that walk with me, elevated ancestors. What wisdom does Jupiter in Cancer hold for Sanidra? What energy does she need to be tapped into from now until June 30th of 2026? What will allow her to tap into both her emotional intelligence as well as her emotional abundance? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. So in the position of the vessel, how you hold emotional abundance, this is to tell you about what your spirit needs for you to feel safe and to grow. You are still learning how to trust your intuition. The Page of Cups is somebody that has a ton of, not a ton, they have good intuitive insights, right? The Page of Cups is the card of the dreamer. But because they don't know how to trust their intuition, and honestly, sometimes their intuition scares them, they are prone to spiritual escapism. Okay? That's where Page of Cups, ruled by Pisces, that is where that accusation that Pisces are delusional comes from, right? It's not that they're delusional because they're lazy or that, they're just silly or whatever. They see so much and they can get so overwhelmed by what they see that they are prone to escapism, right? And so, with the Page of Cups being a card of lessons, a huge part of what you need to learn in order to feel safe emotionally and as well as to embrace your emotional abundance is that you need to learn how to use your spiritual insight for connection as opposed to escapism. A lot of times when Page of Cups comes up for people, it's because they're still in that part of their spiritual journey where they want to use spirituality to run from their problems as opposed to use spirituality to further understand how to conquer their problems. And that's the lesson of Page of Cups that's kind of coming up right now for you. That's something that you're really going to you're going to be given a lot of opportunity to work through and discern when you may or may not be doing that under this influence. Now, with the tide, in terms of what is ready to expand or overflow, this is going to tell you about the blessings that are rising from your emotional and ancestral depths. You're going to be pulled out of indecision. Two of Swords. There's a part of you, again, going back to this Page of Cups energy, there's a part of you that can be so overwhelmed by the choices that you need to make that you just don't make them, right? And under this transit, you're going to be forced into action, not in a brutal way or like, throwing the baby on the side of the pool and making them learn to sink or swim kind of way, but more in a way where the more you trust your intuition, the easier it's going to be for you to get comfortable with making decisions instead of sitting on the fence, okay? Now, in the position of the shore, or how it is you're going to be anchoring your blessings, how it is you're going to turn your emotional wisdom into long-term abundance, we have the yeah, you can pay for it on Sunday. I can do the rebirth of a rebel for you now, and you can just do it Sunday. That's fine. So the Eight of Cups is here. And this is what you're going to embrace that's really going to help you learn to turn your emotional wisdom into long-term abundance, right? There are certain things that you focus on or that you get distracted by that really don't serve you. And when I say get distracted by, I don't even mean that they're like, it's not that they're superfluous or that they're immature. There are things that you still feel a connection to and that you keep trying to make work or keep going. Eight of Cups is about walking away from something knowing that you gave it your best shot. And that sometimes walking away is how you win, right? So you're going to get more comfortable with leaving things behind, not because you're not trying, but because you know you put your best forward effort. And because you know that your best effort is better suited in other spaces, right? So I think that, again, as I look at the whole of this reading between the Page of Cups, the Two of Swords, and the Eight of Cups, a huge part of what Jupiter in Cancer is going to give you is the ability to further trust your intuition. That trust in your intuition making you more comfortable with making definite decisions as opposed to clinging to things and trying to make things work that don't deserve that amount of effort from you. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if that resonated with you or not, Sanidra. I can do your reading. I got you, La Balin. So you want the rebirth of a rebel reading. I got you. I would rather do it now because on Sunday I'm gonna forget this shit. Like I already know that by the time Sunday comes around, I'm not gonna remember these readings, and I'm probably not even gonna keep the notes. So we can do it tonight since I'm already here. So the Rebirth of the Rebel reading is going to look at the impact of Pluto going direct in Aquarius on October 3rd and give you insight into what you need to be mindful of while Pluto is in Aquarius. It's going to stay in Aquarius until 2043, okay? So, ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits to walk with me. Give us insight into the type of transformation that Pluto and Aquarius has in store for La Balin. What are the old patterns that they are shedding? What are the new ways of being that they are embracing? And how does their transformation reflect the energy of the collective? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. All right. If there is anyone else that would like a reading, go ahead and send your love offering and leave me a comment. If not, then I'm going to go ahead and wrap up for the night after La Balin, okay? I have a feeling my inner rebel villain incubating, so IDK if this has anything to do with that. Low key, yeah. So I'm you definitely need to go back and watch the first half of the video once we're done. You definitely can benefit from watching the first half of the video. Okay. So in the position of the ruins, which is what must be released, or the structures or belief that is ready to crumble so you can evolve. King of Cups, the compassionate leader, the nurturing father, the nurturing leader. People hear that, and it's funny because I just said that. They hear nurturing and they think weak, right? A nurturing father understands that I have to give as much love and hugs to my child as I do structure and discipline, right? That discipline is a form of love. For you as a healer, a huge part of what this transit is going to be teaching you is that discipline is love, right? And that being a compassionate leader, or in this case, because here's the thing, as a priest or a priestess, we're constantly reparenting our clientele, right? That's why in Vodou, as a Hugon, you're a father, as a Mambo, you're a mother, right? We're reparenting our clients. They don't like it when we say that shit, but that's the work. And I think you are still navigating some false beliefs that in order to be a good priestess or a good spiritual leader, that you have to be over nurturing. And so there's lessons that you're learning about what it looks like to nurture while giving discipline. And this transit is really going to bring that wisdom to you, okay? In the position of the spark or the truth that sets you free, this is the hidden gift that you need to be ready to embody so that it can empower you under this influence, right? And it's funny because we just talked the Lover's card. We just talked about that yin yang energy, the nurturing and the discipline. Embracing the twins within you, right? Lover's card, Gemini energy. Understanding that each aspect of yourself has consequence over the other, right? So in those moments when you're being too lenient, that means that the part of you that has to give the discipline needs to step up, right? Or put stress or pressure over it. This is about your personal journey of balance through that Gemini energy of the Lover's card. And it's talking about how you show up as a healer, yes, but it's also talking about your love relationships. When it comes to romance You're going to learn about a lot about how the alignment and the balance within you is what's going to help you reflect or call forth a particular kind of partner for yourself, right? And it's going to piss you off, but as you date and as you continue to court, because the Lover's card in the Hoodoo Tarot is called the card of courting, right? As you continue to date and you continue to court or be courted, you're going to get a lot of really frustrating lessons about, not frustrating, any frustrations that you deal with in terms of the people that you date in court, they're there to reflect something that's out of alignment within you, right? So Pluto and Aquarius is going to be a time, because again, it's about the personal spilling into the collective, right? Your romantic journey is going to teach you about the parts of yourself that need to be called forth into alignment, okay? Now, in terms of the blueprint, what's going to help you build a new world for yourself and for others, the thing that's going to ground you in your transformation on a personal level that also reflects collective change, we have the Knight of Wands. I just talked about two heavy things, right? Yes, they have a lot of impact, but that doesn't mean that you don't get to have fun while you're doing it. Knight of Wands is Aries energy. And Knight of Wands is the initiate. They're always going after something. They're always striving. But if it's one thing an Aries going to do, they're going to have some fucking fun. Aries is going to have some fun. So the Knight of Wands is coming up to say, yes, the world is crumbling to a certain degree. Yes, you have a lot of really big things that you are learning to conquer. But bitch, you better have fun while you're doing it. You better have fun. You better look cute. You better, yes, do the work and have the fight and go on the journey, but do not let it weigh you down so much that you don't have joy at the same time. So a huge part of what's coming into your life during this transit is learning about what does it mean to, yes, have to deal with heavy things in life, but also allowing yourself to have joy along the way. Okay? I hope that made sense. I prayed for my patron to help me be more disciplined and to remind me that tough love is a form of love. Yeah. That was one of the first lessons, but also the hardest lessons I've had to learn as a priestess. And I don't know if you have godchildren yet, but girl, that is a tough one when it comes to godchildren. If you are not tough, you will fuck around and get godchildren that only want to play on your heartstrings. And then the second that you put down a boundary, oh my God, the nasty comes out. I don't have to deal with none of that anymore with the current godchildren I have, but I've had to let godchildren go because of that shit. And it can be really uncomfortable. But yeah, learning how to love and be nurturing while still giving out discipline and making sure that it's discipline and not punishment, because there are some spiritual leaders and some spiritual healers that they themselves never learned the difference between discipline and punishment. And when you wrap that with a shitty ego, people can do a lot of abuse in spiritual community, right? So, but if you do the work and if you are aligned with spirit and you're asking yourself the right questions, you can avoid all that. I know that you're going to avoid it because the fact that you're even a good enough of a person to pray to your Loa, to pray to your ancestors for guidance around it, shows me that you would never do that to somebody. It's the people who think that it's not a worthy thing to spend time and spirit around that end up doing that kind of damage. So I love hearing that those are conversations you have with your spirit, because if more spiritual leaders and healers have those conversations and anchor themselves in them, a lot more people would, be invested in spiritual community instead of, walking away with hurt and pain. I'm tired now, so I'm gonna go ahead and quit. But I will be back on Sunday. Class tomorrow. We have a free class tomorrow night. This is the class that was supposed to take place Tuesday. But I needed my rest, child. The beginning of the week took a lot out of me. And for the sake of my health, I needed to postpone. But I will be back here tomorrow. Free Charm School lecture series about ways to navigate a spirit of provocation. I'm going to be talking about it both from a coaching perspective and giving you concrete spiritual methods to protect yourself, rebuke, as well as navigate the spirit of provocation. I will also be back on Sunday, every Sunday, 7:30 p.m. EST, for the weekly energy reading. I want to thank you all for supporting Astro Hour. Again, this is a new segment. This is only the second time I've done it. I don't think it'll be weekly. It'll most likely be bi-weekly because it is a lot of work put into preparing for it. But continue to put your comments even in the replay. If you have any suggestions about how to structure it, I'm always open to those. Again, love you all. Thank you for supporting the segment. I will see you tomorrow if you can make it. And if not on tomorrow, I will see you Sunday. Take care. Bye.